We're live.
We're live.
Hey, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the premiere of RealmSmith's Aftermath, a show where our cast gets to discuss the aftermath of their choices. I'm your host, Hillary Z, and tonight we have with us our benevolent and merciful DM, Jason Azevedo, our very own Joel Auge and Brandon Perkins, and tonight we get to have a very special guest with us, the one and only Omega Jones, also known as Critical Bard. Welcome, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Excited. This is fun.
Yeah, I'm really glad everyone was able to join us, especially you, Omega. I know you've got a busy schedule, and it means a lot that you're able to sit down and chat with us for a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, I was lucky enough to have some time to do it.
Yay, I love it when the stars align like that.
Aw, that's a nice compliment. Thank you.
Bye.
Signing off. That's all the time we have tonight.
I'm done. I can go.
So we got a little bit of announcements. We got to, of course, thank our wonderful sponsor, Forged Gaming. They make all sorts of game boards, dice, and lots of other different kinds of quality accessories to take your tabletop gameplay experience to the next level. Use code RealmSmith20, all one word, at checkout to receive 20% off your entire order.
Yes, Forced Gaming.
So many pretty math rocks. I want them all. And lots of other cool things. All right, so a couple announcements. Join us Monday nights live on YouTube at 7 p.m. Eastern. This Monday will be our episode 2 of our 3rd season of Into the Mist. And we are super excited to let you all know that Omega Jones will be joining us once again in his incredible depiction of Sir Godfrey.
Yes. yes. I'm excited to be back next week.
So good. Check out our Patreon. We have a Patreon now. If you want to join our Roleplay Discord server and interact with our live streams, it's a fantastic community. There's people role-playing almost 24 hours a day. Right now we are the Vistani, as we are Into the Mist and Barovia. And actually tonight we are releasing a special item into the Discord. You want to talk about that, Jay?
Yeah, I sure will. Over to you, Jay.
Over to you.
This is me. So tonight we had this crazy idea. For the first time in our Discord this season, we're allowing people to search for items in the channels, in the roleplay channels, as well as listen for rumors. And so there's a search function, you type it in, and then there's a random chance that you'll actually hear something or find something, and then within that, there's also a random chance of what that thing is. One of those things that you can search for in any of the areas outside of the settlements is a book of incantations from Forged Gaming. If you find it in-game, we'll send it to you in the real world, IRL. Super exciting, super cool. Plus, you also get a magical item. It is a very rare magical item, but I will not say what it is until you find it. And so that will launch today after the show. So then you can, again, only search once a day. You're searching once per long rest. But each day you can search and see if you can find it somewhere. It's a lot of fun, and we're super excited. The Book of Incantations from Forged is a book that holds all of your spell cards or monster cards or whatever you want. It comes with little sleeves, and they also have their own dry erase cards, which I don't have handy right here. But they're awesome. Anyways, we'll be doing lots of these kinds of promotions where if you find something in-game, you get it in real life moving forward. It's a really cool, fun way to do it, I think. Awesome. So thank you, Forged.
Yeah, thank you so much to Forged Gaming. That is such a cool mechanic. All right. Well, I think that's everything for our announcements. I think we can get into this now. So the way this is going to work.
Well, can I just say, first of all, before you go on, I'm a little jealous of the balmy California weather coming through your window right now, must I say, in cold Toronto. We can see her window in the back. That's all I'm to say about that. I'm just very jealous right now.
I'm not mad about it. It's nice.
Because it's still cold.
That's not a real window.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Oh, man.
This is not a digital background.
Right? Like, how nice is that?
I'm not allowed to have windows.
Oh, I miss California. Anyways, go on.
Alrighty, so the way this is going to work is if anybody watching live has any questions, go ahead and put into the chat your question prefaced with the word question in all caps. And that way the moderators can take that and put it into a little document that I can look at, and we will try to answer as many of them as we can. And of course, if any of our cast has any questions for each other, please feel free to interrupt me, hop in, ask questions. I would love to know if you guys have any questions for each other too.
Cool.
So you guys ready to get started?
So ready.
Love to know if you guys have any questions for each other. Why did I just hear myself?
You're good.
Okay.
One of us, actually.
That was spooky. Okay, so let's see here. Let me pull up my Discord. Let me pull up all of the things. There are so many windows. Okay. Sorry, hang on. New computer, who dis?
New computer, who dis?
Alrighty. So, I hope you guys don't mind, but since we do have the honor of having a special guest tonight, I'm going to start with a couple questions for him.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
I got my water.
So first, of course, I want to talk about the Bard of Creation. You recently helped WotC create this new Bard subclass that was released for Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is super cool, very, very different from all of the other Bard subclasses. I just want to know, like, what was your inspiration for it? How did you come up with it? What was the process like of getting it all balanced together with WotC?
So I want to make sure this is clear, because this is a live thing. I want to make sure I actually didn't help create it. I just helped launch it. Yeah, I was like, if I did, I wish I did, but no. But they did trust me to launch it because they know that I am an advocate. Well, one, I'm a bard in real life, professional actor and vocalist. Literally got my equity card in acting before the Pandoche hit. So that's cool. But that class specifically was inspired, in my opinion, by all the bards who don't necessarily have their own voice. We all expect bards to sing and dance and be all jovial and stuff, but sometimes it's not about that. Bards, to me, are about telling that story. Bards have been doing this for years, throughout history. It was a bard that a king would go to get either the news, or they were the ones who could spark revolution, spark change, get somebody executed if they really wanted to. Like, they had so much power in their words and the things that they did. So this kind of harkens back to the idea of creating what you need to better yourself or not better yourself, depending on what you're trying to do with your bardic ways. So yeah, they use the Song of Creation, which is this primordial entity, idealistic concept that bards pull their magic from, and they can pull that direct. They have that direct link to that primordial entity to create, quite literally, whatever they want to create, using some of their bardic inspiration to pull out these motes of potential that can affect certain things, or they can like animate things or literally create things. It's a really cool concept. Just being able to not worry about being artistic enough when it comes to being a bard. I think it's really cool. It's very user friendly. I think if you haven't tried it, definitely try it, because it's a really cool one, and I think you'll find so many not just new ways to play a bard, but also it helps, get you into that mood. You don't have to worry about being the center of attention, which a lot of people expect bards to be. You can just do something that feels right for you and allow your own performance and artistry to come through.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so now I'd really love to hear about one of your passion projects, #BlackAF. I would love to know why you started it, what you're doing with it, and where you hope it goes.
So the Black AF Roundtable was a series that came out of an unfortunate event, aka the murder of George Floyd. And we had already, as Black creators, already felt a little ostracized and just a little weird about, being in the community, because we you have to work twice as hard to get half, barely even that, of what others get. And I decided to say, hey, let's have a conversation. Because I think this is important. Let's raise money for like the Bell Project to make sure that folks who are rioting, I don't want to say rioting, who are protesting and going through it in all stages of emotion, make sure they are safe and make sure they are taken care of if things go sour. But let's have a conversation about being Black in the tabletop gaming community. Let's talk about what we go through, because guess what? We go through a lot. And let's be honest, because it's not a safe space. It hasn't been a safe space. It's becoming one, but it hasn't been for a long time. We know that, looking at how people expect every Black or dark elf to be a drow, when I can just have a Black-skinned elf. They don't have to be a drow. Or the monstrous aspects of orcs. And that innate aggression that they just have because they're different. Like, all of those things have racist connotations beneath them, and we wanted to talk about them. And not just in game, we wanted to talk about how the world and society treats Black folk, especially in gaming. So that's kind of what that was, and then it became an entire series. We also did it at D&D Live this past year. And it's been something that people can look back at if they need just to understand or just feel like there is someone like them who knows what it's like and who knows what we go through. So if they need just a shoulder to lean on, or just a someone that they see doing the thing out there. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure people felt like they were seen and understood and heard. So it's been really cool to be able to be the forefront, I guess, of that movement in this tabletop community. Community.
Yeah. Have you seen a shift, Omega? Like, since all the unfortunate things kind of went down and more awareness is kind of being raised now, are you seeing progress?
Yeah, I'm seeing progress. It's slow, but I'm definitely seeing it. But also, I mean, at the end of the day, we just had Black History Month, and how many people in the tabletop community actually noted that it was Black History Month? Not many.
Yeah.
We wrote it down. Don't worry. Yeah. So we're seeing a small amount of people actually trying to be proactive. But it's a slow start. It's a slow thing. Time exists, and that's something I talk about a lot. You cannot push time does not work for you. You work for it.
Yeah.
So I accept the fact that it's a slow pace because there's something happening.
Yeah.
I wish it could be fast, but it's not, and that's fine. It's just good. It's going to be what it is. You just continue to fight.
Continue to talk about it. Continue to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so now I have to ask you about Godfrey. Oh man, you floored all of us when the camera turned on and you had your makeup and the everything all done. I'm sure there's a million questions in the Discord about like how long all that process took. I mean, you were prepared. You knew the lore. You knew how to answer all of the tough questions from the cast. Like, what did you do to prepare for that role?
So I took this chance because, again, I am an actor first and foremost. And I was telling someone, I was like, this is such a different thing because it's not like I'm coming in with the character that I created, that I prepared, that I know everything about. This was a canon character to this adventure that many people have known in the past, have talked about in their own games or have read about. So I needed to make sure that I did the work I would do on stage. I needed to make sure I knew all of his backstory, as much of it as I could, knew what his ideals were, what he was trying to do, what he wanted now. Thank Jay for the tips that he gave me as far as Godfrey goes, so I can always pull from something, just in case I was just like overwhelmed, which I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, oh God, here we go. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I did it right, so I did as much research as I could. Personally, while I was backstage, while they were chatting, I was practicing his voice and just his cadence, just making sure he was feeling right. Every 5 seconds, I had a beauty blender next to me, or I have everything. No, I don't. It's not moving. I had makeup stuff right here, just like, okay, let me make sure this looks right. This is wrong. Just making sure everything was good because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I was happy to be able to hone in on this character and have fun with him still.
It is, if I can just say, it was really cool. We also have another NPC at the table with us. So like Esmeralda, who is played by Nora at the table, she's also had to like take on a canon character, and people just love her depiction of Esmeralda. And I think like when you do something like that, you're kind of I don't know, you're building on people's perception of who that person is, and it's amazing, I think. And especially if you do it well. If you do it poorly, then yeah, you leave a bad taste in people's mouths. But man, like seriously, it was over the top. It was actually quite scary, because there were times when I was thinking like he's holding us, he's going to hold us hostage, or he's going to do something that puts these other skeletons at arms for himself. Like he has more power than he's letting on. And I felt like the slow timbre and approach to how you were speaking was a way for you to plan out your next move.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was totally off-put by your slow, meticulous cadence of his words. I was just like,
I'm gonna be honest about a thing right there, because it's okay to look behind the curtain every now and then.
Absolutely.
Cadence was two different things. It was one, I knew that he's old. He is an old revenant who's been sitting in this place forever, hasn't had a Big Mac in years. So he's just sitting there, just trying to, process. So when he sees somebody, and he probably sees people every now and then who come into Argynvostholt, and he's like, "Are you the one?" "No, suffer." But so there's the level of him still having to process what speech is. Because I don't think, in my opinion, it's not like he's having everyday conversations with all these revenants that are here.
Right.
He probably doesn't talk to many of them. Barely, honestly, probably talk to Vladimir, but I'm not gonna go into much of that because that's spoiler territory. So with that being said, I was like, yeah, he's going to make sure every word he says is coming out correctly from him physically, as a ancient revenant being. But they're still making sure he's saying the right thing in the right time. Secondly, I was looking at things on this page and making sure I was saying the right thing at the right time.
Right.
So it's like, you are going to okay, great. But honestly, I felt that made so much sense for that character, so I kept it once I was in the character fully. It just made sense for him. So yeah, thank you. I like that. I like that. The cadence.
It creeped me the hell out. So
Yeah, let me say that when I thought about this character, and how I maybe would have played him, as soon as I thought, wait a second, I should get Omega to play him, it was perfect. Like you were, first of all, obviously being an openly gay character in the game, in the module, written as a gay character. I was just like, man, it hits on so many levels, and we wanted to get Omega on our show, and it was perfect. Like I sent Omega a lot of info, like a lot. And people at home have to understand, when you're playing your own character, you kind of make it up. If you don't know something, you just say you don't know it. But playing an NPC as a PC, you're also a plot device. Yeah. So if he gives the wrong information or whatever, I mean, that could potentially cause rifts. And he played it perfect. No pressure. But he played it perfectly. And I'm so glad we made that call and we asked him to be on.
Well, so far, Jay, there's a whole other
far. Yeah, but from now on, he's just gonna go. You guys are gonna go do something else, and he doesn't have any more info to give. So really, now he just becomes a PC.
Well, it was really fun. Kind of two things. One, I don't know if Jay got scared or was just worried. I just wanted to make sure that I was fine, because like in Zoom, he like sent like blank. Just make sure blank. And I saw that, but I knew that already in the back of my head, because I was like, this is going to be a PC that I'm playing. Yeah. Even if he's an NPC, he is a character that I'm developing and playing with y'all for the next how many episodes. Yeah. So that moment with Muskoka, I don't know if you're going to get into it at all. That was that didn't have to happen. But it was something that he said that made me go, I need to, this character, Godfrey, is interested. So before I get back on track, let me talk to him real quick. So yeah, it was cool to just have these moments and just feel him out more.
And I think I can say this, but Dave sent me a text afterwards, and he was like, dude, that was so heavy. Like, he felt the weight of the session on his... I mean, Muskoka's gone. Spoiler warnings. There's going to be lots of spoilers tonight. We probably should have said that off the top. I don't think we did. But you know, he's really going through a transformation. Last season, Omega, he was a happy-go-lucky Canadian who was completely kind of aloof in a lot of ways, and then died, and he's changed. And that's what I love about Dave and the way he plays his characters, is he allows them to evolve. Most people play their characters the same from first level to 20th level, whatever their background says, whatever their alignment is, but having them evolve like that. And so he sent me, he was like, dude, that was heavy. I was like, too heavy? He's like, no, it's great, it's awesome, but I'm feeling it. And that's just a testament to the way that you played Godfrey. So thank you.
That was an incredible moment. Like, it felt so natural and so real, and it was just a phenomenal bit of role play. Just this really interesting connection between these two characters that you wouldn't think have anything in common.
Well, it was so cool me watching, because sitting there, because there was like, Vladimir's in the next room, and we could have went to go see Vladimir. I'm not gonna say what happened, but we could have seen him, but with him just being like, you died, but I died too. Godfrey was like, oh no, you're not, that's not a throwaway moment. You're going to elaborate on that, because I didn't just die. I died and I stayed here.
Yeah.
I stayed and have been here for centuries.
Yeah.
You're going to explain what you mean by that, because that's going to affect how I go forward now. Because there's a moment of, okay, they have seen death. They understand the stakes, but in what way? And it was just a moment that was just interesting to him. And I actually think there's going to be, I don't know what, I don't, but I think there's going to be an interesting connection between Muskoka and Godfrey going out from here, because of that shared experience, even on different times and how it happened. But like, that's just something that Godfrey's just honed in on, and he's interested in just unplugging a little bit and just going with.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's something that Muskoka probably needs right now. He's so estranged from the party in a lot of ways, especially emotionally. So having this connection for you as Godfrey to be able to connect with him on this level, for him to be able to work out what it means to died and come back, and then your character being somebody who's essentially living in a constant state of death, being undead. There's no escaping from that, not for a second, for your character. So that brings up so many facets for RP in the episode to come. I can't wait to see what happens.
And maybe Godfrey does actually see the opportunity to come back, and you know what I mean? Given that Muskoka's done it, I mean, maybe that's the hope that Godfrey needs. I don't know. There's so many things.
There's a lot. I won't lie. After the episode, the next day, I guess I was curious to see how other people in the world have looked at Godfrey and things they've done with him. And some of the things I saw, I was like, interesting. I'm not saying that's where I'm going, but Yeah. And I have been thinking about what Godfrey wants in the long run. Not that that's the forefront of the game, because it's not, but I was like, I've been thinking about what this is going to look like. Yeah. So it's going to be fun being able to dive into this character with this group, specifically with this group.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's great.
So speaking of heavy conversations and character development, Brandon.
Me?
Yes, you. At the end of last season, there was an amazing conversation between Sterling and Callie. She said goodbye. Sterling had to say goodbye to one of his first friends, maybe ever, but definitely since, becoming this Warforged and getting sucked into Barovia. I'd love to know kind of how that conversation affected him, especially because so shortly afterwards he became, well, I'm gonna let you talk about that.
Well, Callie was essentially the first person to show him kindness since he was put into the Warforged body. So for him, he was so afraid to interact with anybody. But he was still so intrigued with this new freedom of being able to finally get up out of bed, to not be sick, to not be afraid of, you know, will I wake up tomorrow? You know, that sort of thing. Having just been through this traumatic experience with his father, craving human connection, but being this machine, you know, he was looking for someone to connect with, and she was there. And so immediately she became this person that was kind of, he sort of unofficially adopted as an older sister in a way. So there were a lot of really funny moments with her, but I think in the end, that's what was on his mind in that moment, is he was feeling like he was losing another person, you know, another person that was really important to him. And in a way that it made him hesitant, you know, thinking, well, I can't get close to people. I can't let myself get close to people because they're going to disappear. And all of this fed into that decision that he had made, that the amalgamate mind of the Warforged itself that already existed within the unit before his mind and soul was put into it, had been talking to him about, saying, you could join this amalgam. We can bring your mind in and you'll be one of us as well. We will be together, one mind. You know, where there were 7 of us and 1 of you, we can have the 8 and the 1, the many and the 1, the amalgam. And so he decided, well, I'm 11 years old and I cannot do this Barovia thing in and of myself. I realized that everybody's right. I am a kid. I am still a kid. And as much as I want to be a grown up, I can't grow up in this body. This is the only way that I can do it. So that was very much the thinking and a big part of the inspiration. Callie did help to spur that on, but I think the moments that did it the most was probably everything that happened with Irina, because that very much broke a lot of his illusions and his idealism.
Yeah, and for some of those that might not understand and know, Sterling is a Warforged with an 11-year-old boy's consciousness. Is that right?
Yeah.
11, right?
11 and 3/4 to be specific.
That has been loaded into him. So Omega, you know Amalgam Sterling, who's kind of an adult, but all last 2 seasons he's been playing an 11-year-old boy in a Warforged body because he was on his deathbed and his consciousness was transferred so that he could live. Really deep, really cool. And I must say that actually Brandon is doing a seminar called Getting to the Heart of It for our patrons of the Hero of the Realm and Up, to discuss how to create backstory and then how to evolve and have that educate your, because Brandon's masterful when it comes to creating backstories and then having your characters educate your character and your thing moving forward. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Now that he's chosen to grow up, is he trying to hold on to any of his childhood, whatever, at all? Do you think he still wants to play tag every once in a while?
Yeah, he still has Sterling there. So when I talk about him being like the mind is the one and the many, it's all of those minds existing simultaneously. So the Sterling part is still 11 years old. And so he still has that in him, just like we have moments of joy and these things that bring us back to our childhood. For him, that's even more present because he is still 1/8 of him is still a child. And so that's something that comes back very easily. And I know that there were people in the Discord that did want to play a game of tag, and I'm sorry we didn't get to it. It's like RPing through that.
There will be time.
There will be time.
I know what you mean. It is fascinating. I haven't let Falfer agree that Sterling's grown up and is an amalgamated mind. He's gonna hold on to the 11-year-old kid he's been trying to like get to play and grow up and go through childhood and not just be the Barovian tragedy story that everyone expects. So Falfer's still going to try to draw that childlike nature out of Sterling over and over again.
That's actually kind of a perfect segue into a question for you, Joel.
Oh.
Yeah, got one for everybody. Okay, so Falfer has kind of taken on the role of cheering everyone up, kind of being a comic relief in a way, but being in Barovia hasn't been any easier on him than it has on anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So where's he at? How's he doing? How's he feeling about being away from home and this new mission to essentially free the entire land of Barovia?
Well, I mean, Falfer is by nature an explorer, a pioneering heart, and so he's kind of willing to, and to the halfling nature, kind of speaks to his desire to kind of say yes to almost everything. Like he really is an adventurous spirit, and that doesn't go away. And interestingly, you know, even in the darkest circumstances, if you know people who are adventurous, they find adventure in whatever turmoil they go through, right? So Falfer is that. He'll go through the putrescence, I guess, of Barovia, one of my favorite words from last session. Thank you, Jason. And and still kind of try to manage a smile and lift people's spirits however he possibly can. I mean, Falfer is a dark-natured. He is a chaotic good character. Like, you know, to Jason's point, he won't always be chaotic good, but I think right now he's playing it with the long-term good in mind. As he was ending last season, he did that as well. He's just like, he's willing to do a few bad things to get to the ultimate good. Let's put it that way. And so as long as he can make the logic work in his mind that the ultimate ends are going to require whatever means, then he's going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out going forward. If he can maintain his pure happiness.
Yeah, I mean, moon pies are going to help a lot.
I've got some questions for you about that. Don't worry. But I want to just kind of ask everybody. The last episode was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good RP moments. I would love to know what your favorite moments from the last episode were. For everybody.
100% all the RP with Omega for me. That I think was, bar none, just so completely immersive. It blew my mind. It's probably one of the most memorable D&D moments I've had, just because of, like, in that second, like, the game went away and it was just pure focus on the RP of the moment. So for me, it's that was incredible.
That actually means a lot. Thank you. I'm like, what? Thanks.
Yeah, Jay and I have had conversations about this in the past. There are things that you do in Dungeons and Dragons that later on, when you think about, like, your memory is of your character being in that scenario rather than you playing at a table with friends. It's like you lived that thing you imagined with your friends together. I think that last session has a number of those. One, the reveal of like your character, Omega, was like really, really good. You obviously spent the time to kind of dive in, but it was like interacting with an in-game element that was giving you real responses. Like, I think about my favorite video games. I think about my favorite games really are when I forget about the controls. You just forget about the controls and you dive into the game and everything else disappears. And it's like I forgot about the controls and just like had a chance to dive in. And it was so fun.
Wow. I mean, that shit. I'm like, I don't get flabbergasted often at all. I mean, I think that's a testament to y'all too, because you are. I a little bit out of character, but when I play D&D, the people I find I have the most fun with are the people who understand that it's a game, but that you're putting yourself into this character and being this character and being in that moment. It's not always about the joke. It's not always about, even the mechanics. It's just about being. So when I can be in places where, as you said, like I'm not even thinking about the controls. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. That's always so much fun for me. So the fact that I could be that with you all was really cool. I want to say I was nervous as shit as we were getting into it. But I do think you note. Okay, I won't lie. I watched the reveal back a couple of times, especially David's reaction. But like you can see when the moment became not the game and it was the story. Everybody shifted. And it was really cool to just watch it happen. I won't lie though, my favorite moment was y'all struggling with that step. I will not lie. I was back here laughing because I was like, this is so fun, especially because I know what could have happened. So just watching it, just going, it was a fun, but also those moments are great for me when you overthink that one thing that you shouldn't overthink.
That happens often with our group. Just fair warning for the next couple episodes.
I think that happens a lot in every game.
Yeah,
it's the classic puzzle where there's a countdown from 20.
Yeah,
and you think something's going to happen when it gets to 1, and you overthink the entire time, and then finally it happens. It's like, what? Like, nope, you just have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that classic moment. I think it was a fun moment just for me out of character to just watch y'all struggle. That was cool.
That's hilarious. My favorite was that whole last half hour, however long it was, because like time stopped and I just sat back. Those moments where I can just sit back. We've had those moments with Lillard and Nora. We had those moments with Matt Mercer in the room. Like just those moments where I just go and I take my hands off the wheel and just let it go. And it's kind of, in movies, when an explosion happened, you hear like, and it's just like everything else goes away. It was unreal. That whole thing was unbelievable. And so thank you, Omega, for being a part of that. I'm going to jump in actually and ask you something that's pressing on my brain. I'm going to put you on the spot, but I always love to ask people who play a lot of streams. You've done a lot of streamed games. You've played with a lot of awesome people. Is there anything that you noticed about our group or our streams in particular that kind of stood out to you? Because everybody does it different, right? And we have the same tropes, and some people go through the same difficulties, like the step, and that's just D&D, where you spend 4 hours planning and 2 hours, basically delivering whatever you were planning. But is there anything that you noticed or sensed from our group that kind of stands out for you from watching even just one session?
Honestly, I mean, we keep talking about this moment, but it was the moment where people really got invested.
Yeah.
You can tell that this was a group who really cared about their characters and who felt their characters, and allowed themselves to just be, even if that wasn't a good feeling. I don't see that a lot, which isn't a bad thing. Everybody plays D&D differently.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to just be able to just tell a story versus worry about rolling dice. That's actually, I was like, wait, are you asking me to roll dice? Okay, I can, but what? But it was 13. Okay. But I think this group understands their characters, and I don't know if that's something you all talk about all the time or what, but it was nice to just be versus react. Versus act. I would just in the moment versus trying to make a moment happen.
Yeah.
That was nice for me.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Also, he's not here. I want to give a shout out to David because there was a moment, and I don't know if y'all are going to talk about it. Falfer kept pushing him. And like throughout the entire episode, I just kept watching him and just watching his reactions. And like you can see how ostracized he feels. And I was like, oh, poor Bab, I'm going to protect you. Yeah. Godfrey's going to protect you. Yeah. And yes, he could one-shot Strahd if he wants to. So he can protect him if he wants. No. No.
That sounds like a challenge, Omega.
Matthew Mercer, what's good?
He's calling you out, Matt.
Oh man, that would be amazing. I love that you brought that up because I did kind of want to ask you about that, Joel. Falfer was giving Muskoka a really hard time in that episode, even after seeing that he was really down in the dumps. Like, why did Falfer respond like that?
Well, I in real life, IRL, have 6 brothers. Okay, I have 2 younger brothers and I have 4 older brothers.
I'm learning so much about you.
And this is how they are with me. That's how they are. They don't feel bad for me. I mean, they might feel bad for me, but the way they get me out of it is by getting me out of it. It's like by, you know what I mean, by nudging me along, by, come on, man, like, fight back. Like, don't just sit there. Like, give me something back. And so I'm literally just doing what I would do for my brothers and what my brothers would do for me. So yeah, that's the way I decided to play it. I recognize, like, there are so many small families out there where there's 2 siblings, 3 siblings, 1 kid in the family who don't have this, like, constant barrage of people impacting their lives. And so they will react differently than I would, right? But that's why.
And that's why it's fun to have different people from different backgrounds and different perspectives. It makes the game so much richer and so much more believable.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So now that
Let me just ask a second part of that question, Joel. And how much though? And of course, it's hard not to. I mean, we all want to say that we're amazing role players and that we always play our character. But how much of that banter is Falfer and Muskoka, and how much of that banter is Joel and Dave? Because you guys have a very cutting, biting kind of, we all do, right? We have a banter. We've known each other for a very long time. I've known Dave for 25, 26 years. Yeah. So how much of that is Joel and Dave, and how much of that is Falfer and Muskoka?
That's a good question too. I mean, I think it's impossible for us. So Dave and I are obviously running a business together, and we are cutting in our humor to each other. So and everyone who follows us regularly will have seen it. That to me will just be there. It'll never go away. Unless of course we do break up for sure. Like, and and decide not to talk to each other in real life ever again for whatever reason. I don't know. Everything's possible. Sure. But I just think it's going to be there anyways. Yeah. So may as well just use it.
Yeah, it's great.
So now I'm going to focus on some questions from the chat for a little while. First one is from Sakura163 for Critical Bard, also known as Mega Jones.
What?
Do you have makeup tutorials somewhere? And if not, you must do some. I know the answer to this because I watch them all the time.
So yes and no. I'm finally starting to revamp my YouTube with because my main platform is Twitch. I've been streaming there for it's almost been a year now, which is kind of cool. But I've done a bunch of makeup tutorials over there, but I finally am putting some of those onto my YouTube. So yes, I do. I tell you, every other Thursday. Actually, fun fact. I love you all so much that I decided not to do the stream I was going to do today, which was going to be a makeup tutorial stream inspired by Critical Role. Inspired by the episode is going to be coming on today, which I won't get into because spoilers. But so yeah, I like to do makeup on my stream when I can, and then move that over to YouTube as I feel like doing. Yeah, I definitely I'm self-taught. I mean, I grew up on the YouTubes watching all of these either drag queens or just makeup artists, special effect folk just do makeup and going, okay, I can do that. And then I look back at 2015 with the brows I had on, never again. But yeah, so yeah, I definitely do it, and I should do more.
Totally real. These are 100% real.
But see, you have good eyebrows, actually. I don't. Like, it ends. Both of these ends where they do. I got to, like, kind of fake some of that a little bit. But it's all good. It happens.
I loved that you worked your little orange kitty into the one where you were doing...
Essek.
Yes. That was really
playing. Yeah, my cat Rumpelstiltskin, who's a butt somewhere probably on my bed. He's an orange tabby, so I'm like, he's Frumpkin.
Oh, love it.
Rumpelstiltskin is a fantastic name.
Yeah, I mean, inspired by Once Upon a Time's Rumpelstiltskin. He is a little shit. He really is. He is a center of attention when he wants to be, but I do love him.
Aw.
Okay, so our next question is from Glenn Lockwood. Are you looking for a plucky barbarian zealot to help you with all of your undead problems? Just let me know.
Calling me a problem?
Never.
That's generalization.
Ket Matari wants to know, how did you do that with your voice, Omega?
Oh my god, so many questions for me. Ask some questions too, y'all. So Jay told me specifically that Godfrey has a scratchy voice, which I was like, okay, that makes sense. He's old and decrepit. But I was just trying to figure out where I wanted that to sit and what was comfortable, because doing voices, whether it's a dialect or a cadence or whatever, it still takes not just effort, but you got to make sure you're not doing something harmful to your voice. So I didn't want to go too far, sounding like Voldemort. I just deepened my own voice, and I guess again I took that time with everything he said. I think he places a lot of weight on everything he says because he doesn't talk as much. So when he does say something, it has to be meaningful. So it has to have that importance. So when he's like, "Why did you come to Argenvostold?" Like, he is very much. I said this for a reason. I'm wasting the little breath I still have. Give me a good answer. So yeah, I needed to make sure it said everything it needed to say without actually listening to the words. Yeah. You need to hear in his voice. I needed to place it in a place that made it have impact. So yeah, just deepen my voice a little bit groggy, a little bit scratchy, and then just spread everything out.
That's great.
Wonderful. Okay, well, I have so many more questions for you, but you've requested I ask other people, so I'll switch it up a little. So this is for the rest of the cast. So how many of you are going to be competing with Omega in your future makeup endeavors? This question is from Andrew Ellers. He wants to know.
I may have to do something next session.
It would be cool.
Now, I have the benefit of having been modeled, or having
exactly.
modeled.
Yeah. You are Falfer, except all you need is like a frumpy wig, like
so,
just like a fluffy.
So there you go.
You
now
are
you
Falfer,
know the direction I'm thinking of going.
It's great. Brandon would basically have to build an Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've got the right hair for it, but nothing else is working. My head is shiny enough.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, that's really good.
Question from Dragonheart580 for Joel. Falfer, have you been to any Dream Pie AA meetings, and how many steps have you taken?
I am very interested to find out what Falfer's going to do this season with the Dream Pies. I think I actually really enjoyed representing someone who deals with an addiction in the game last season, and I intend on dealing with that aspect of Falfer over and over again, assuming that we have the chance. Because I think, I mean, D&D is not the place for it, so that's why I'm going to do it.
I mean, role-playing games can really be a way to explore things like that, and
Sure.
Yeah.
Just good storytelling, you know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, and Omega kind of mentioned it, like, earlier, we really do like telling good stories. Like, I think if there's a thing that our team likes to do, is that we really like the story to be great. So that's why sometimes we'll split the party. Like, that is a more interesting thing to happen than if we just min-max our party against whatever combatants and just win every fight. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's just more interesting. And honestly, in all the greatest stories, you need to have some serious challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's our responsibility to a certain degree. We do have an audience that wants to watch us play, surprisingly, and it really is our responsibility to kind of tell the story in an interesting way. So that's why.
I do want to say something really quickly, only because it came up and it's something I advocate no matter what. And it's interesting that you brought it up. Playing like characters who go through some really deep stuff that can be super personal. And I'm sure you all have done it, but I just want to reiterate, it's very important to talk to the cast, not just the DM, but talk to the cast overall and say, hey, this is something I'm interested in going through. This is something I see my character, a path I see my character going down. Is this okay? I'm never going to go past somebody's lines and veils or go past, people's just boundaries. But like, I think it could be a powerful moment. So it's very interesting to see that you're going to take something that's so real for some people and not experience it, but, overcome it or whatever the case you're going to do, because you might not overcome it. It's interesting that you're going to go through this moment in this journey with this character, but I think it's important that you have talked with your group and made sure that if this is something you don't want me to go into, I will not go into it. This is something I'm interested in. How comfortable are you? Just make sure you're having those conversations. I think that's important.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Glad you brought that up. That's so true.
Yeah, and the unique, not unique necessarily, but I mean, for us, we've been friends for so long that we almost, I mean, I don't think we've ever had a conversation like that, Joel, at our table. Just
Not you and I.
because we've known each other for so long, we know what those lines are, which is the benefit of. But again, if we were to play with guests and so on and so forth, that's a whole different story, and that's incredibly important. Like one of the things we stay away from is suicide because it's close to all of our hearts because of what's happened in our recent past, and so that conversation's been had. But otherwise, like, I know what lines to cross and not to cross with my group just because I know my guys and my girls. So it's
Yeah, there is a benefit to long-term relationships, but I do think being sensitive to people's private kind of experiences, things that others might not share. It's a really good point, actually.
100%.
Especially like we are advocating for through our Discord, like people joining role-playing communities and getting games started. So yeah, I'm happy to highlight the fact that like there are some things that need to be communicated ahead of just diving into the stories. That's totally true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even last night, like when Dave said, "Man, that was heavy," I made sure it wasn't too heavy. Like I made sure, like, when does this become, in any situation, when does it become emotionally taxing rather than a fun game that we're getting together? Like it shouldn't feel like work. It shouldn't feel like it taxes you emotionally. So I wanted to make sure. He's like, no. It was just heavy. I loved it, but it was heavy. And so it's about keeping your ear to the ground and just making sure that those at the table feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. We often like to do a check-in at the end of our game and just say, hey, how was everything? Did is everybody feeling all right? And you never know. It's always good to keep a connection like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting real close to the end here. I just want to ask one or two more questions. For Joel and Brandon, when you guys were in the Vistani camp, Sterling was approached by a little guy who basically thanked him and let them know that they have a new team name, the Dawnbringers, which I got to say, it like gave me goosies as soon as I heard it. I was like, oh, this is so great. What was that like for them? And what's it like for them to know that they have a name and a connection with these people now?
You go, Brandon.
For Sterling, it was a real kind of capstone moment from everything that had happened earlier in the week in the Discord, because he's got such a connection with the characters that are there, and the people. Like, genuinely, I feel like I'm getting a connection with all of the people in the Discord too, which is really humbling for me. So for Sterling, I think that moment kind of just encapsulated a lot of the moments that had happened in the week, feeling like wow, like they really believe in us, and we can't let them down. So we have to give them as much hope as we can, without making, I mean, like the hard part is without making promises we can't keep. But where Sterling is now is he's thinking, I have no idea if we can pull this off, but we're going to do everything in our power to do it. Right. So I think that's where he stands. And that's where that moment was validating. But it was also scary.
Yeah. I mean, likewise, I think that was a poignant part of the party's existence. And it's really interesting to cap that beginning, or to start, I guess, to book and the first end of the books with a this is who you guys are now. Here are the expectations we have of you. You know what it's like when someone believes in you, that's both like a judge and an opportunity. It's like, crap, now the eyes are on us. Like everyone has their eyes on us, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because it brings accountability. It brings a sense of like, okay, I need to better myself for the sake of everyone around. But then there's the performant part of us that is like, oh man, I'm gonna bring it. Like, I'm going to do this, and it's, see, I think this is the part of the story of our party that I was kind of hoping we would get to, and I wasn't expecting we'd get to it as early in this season, but I knew it was coming eventually, where there would be some notoriety, for the players. I mean, it's a relatively small land, right? The world that we're in is kind of pretty confined, so people are going to hear about us, and but it was really, really interesting that it was a small kid who came up to us. I was like, hey man, you guys are the Dawnbringers. It's like, wait, are we? Is that us? We are? You sure? For Falfer, it was like, yes, we are. Of course we are. Bring it. So yeah.
Yeah. Jason, I want to ask you about that too. Was that a name that was included in the book? Did you come up with that yourself?
Yeah.
I'd love to know a little bit about your process with giving them that name.
It was totally natural. So I did not. In fact, I thought of that name 2 weeks ago, which it just came to me. And I've always said, for the first 2 seasons, everybody's like, oh, the party needs a name. The party needs a name. Let's name them. Let's do a contest to name the party and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, I want them to earn it, and I want it to come naturally. And then I thought about Driffles and the Dawn Cometh and Hope and what Sterling represents, and then also what they represent. And I was like, wait a second, they haven't seen a Dawn in centuries. It just makes sense that they're the Dawnbringers. And then when I delivered it in that moment, I got choked up. And I don't know if anybody at home noticed that, but inside baseball, I got choked up saying it because I looked down and Nora was like, she's like, and reacting. And then I saw Brandon's face. I was like, oh man, this is good. So that was a close second best moment of last episode, was just that revelation of like, this is how you've affected this world. And this is the impact that you've had for the people of Barovia.
Yeah.
Agreed. It was a really touching moment.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to ask one last question for Omega while we have you. We're so excited that you get to be with us for a couple more episodes. And so what are you looking forward to? This is kind of off of one of the questions here. I want to give credit for the person who asked it. William James McNerney, I think. What are you looking forward to most going forward with our little campaign, playing an NPC, playing with a new group?
So I think that's the cool thing about this character and how you all are doing the show. And I'll say that's the point. That's when you asked me earlier, Jay, about like what makes the show different. I really like the fact that you are turning NPCs into PCs. You're turning these characters, these allies that, in the game, you're really only supposed to have one of them or meet one of them or, be close to one of them. And you've gotten so many of them, but you've gotten people to play these characters. I think that's really cool that you've given me the opportunity to get the information out that this character needs to get out, and then potentially keep them in some way, shape, or form. And that's so different from what the book initially lays out for you. So I'm excited to just grow with this character, understand him. I was telling someone, I went, oh God, unlike all the other NPCs who they might have met, Godfrey is a whole undead walking around with this group. Just like, hey friends, hi, want to go beat Strahd's ass with me? Like that's kind of what's happening. So him learning how to be, he's already patient, but really understanding what patience is when he's going to be visiting people who are going to be terrified of him. Also being able to somewhat be human again, with this party and, with the world around, trying to just re-understand who Sir Godfrey is and once was. I think that's going to be a lot of fun for me, especially because they were like, yeah, we're going to go back to Camp Gacchus. And they're like, I have to see people.
Yeah.
More so people have to see me.
So can I say something that I honestly, when I was asking, hey, can you come and join us on the journey? So no one fed me that. Jason does not share production notes with guest appearances by anyone with me. So I was legit thinking you were going to say no, I can't come. And you did. But then when you actually said, I might come and help out, I was just like, wait a second. That means he's going to be on the next show. I was just like, yeah. Inside I was cheering, and outside I was cheering.
Just definitely thinking about what the character wants and what they need overall and what their primary motives are. But still, this is a production. So I'm excited to be able to just explore that. I'm really excited about the next episode, specifically because of you've brought other people into this camp or whatever the case may be, but I don't think, have you ever brought an undead into this world? Probably not. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, what people try to do, what people want to do. Don't forget what he can do. He's not about to just walk into and just let people hit him. But it's just going to be interesting playing him and being able as an actor to go through that and understand that is going to be a lot of fun. I'm also very specifically excited. I really like your Discord community. What's going on over there? So I don't know how much Godfrey will ever be active in their role playing, but it's going to be fun to see him interact with people if that's something that does happen. To just feel that out. So we'll see.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the funny thing is Godfrey hasn't seen the world in centuries.
He has not left Argynvost ever.
What has changed in centuries? Multiple. Quadruples of centuries potentially, right? So how has Barovia changed, and how does that affect him? That's a really cool thing.
Yeah, people forget that Godfrey was killed when Strahd wasn't, what he is.
Yeah.
So it's like he's been here for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when it comes to NPCs, the fun thing for me about casting people as NPCs, and we've had Lillard as Rictavio, Mercer as Strahd, Nora as Esmeralda, and then we had Luke play his dad's character Mordenkainen for the first time ever he's ever played him in our game as well. And just having and then yourself, it takes the control a bit out of my hands. And it provides a sense of unease to my players because I'm no longer necessarily, seemingly, in control of what happens, right? And so it adds this whole other element of this is supposed to be an NPC who, Matt Mercer could kill us. Jason is not controlling this situation. And so it's just a really cool... I love the concept. And as you said, for those inside baseball, for those of you that don't know, the book says that they find one ally. My idea was, why not try and gather as many allies as you can to fight Strahd in the end? Why wouldn't you gather as much help as you could and that's what the party's doing, and it's just working out so great. I just can't wait till the day where it all comes to bear. So it's gonna be end game. Yeah, it's gonna be the assemble moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Mercer. Yeah.
He'll deal.
He'll deal. I would say poor Mercer. I don't feel bad for him at all. He'll do just
All right,
fine.
guys. Well, I think that's all the time we have for tonight. I want to say a huge thank you to the entire crew and cast of RealmSmith for this amazing opportunity to be a part of this show. This has been so much fun, and I'm
so good. Show number 1.
I'm just
Hell
so
yeah.
happy to be here.
Let me say real quick, for those of you that don't know, Hillary is one of our Smithgardians. Our Smithgardians are, they used to be moderators. They're so much more now. They're part of the plot team. They run the Discord inside out. They write modules for the Discord. They manage. They do everything behind the scenes. And they've been absolutely incredible. And I thought Hillary would be perfect for this role. She's awesome. You're killing it. And Hillary has become kind of a bit of our lore master. She's doing all the wiki stuff. We're preparing a wiki. I don't know if people know that. We're preparing a wiki, and she's going through all of that, and she's watching back all the episodes to create timelines because my memory's horrible. So thank you, Hillary. I want to say a huge thank you to you for doing this, and you're killing it. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored. I can't thank you guys enough.
Oh,
Super cool.
all the feels.
All the feels. And a big thanks to everyone, all of our Jason, Joel, Brandon, of course. Huge thanks to Omega for joining us tonight. Big thanks to our sponsor, Forged Gaming, and of course our viewers. If you guys weren't here, we'd be talking to a void. So thanks for being here. And I know that you guys had a lot of questions that I wasn't able to get to tonight. So many good questions. I'm going to hold on to them. I'm going to try to get to them in the future. But before we go, I do want to just give our special guest of honor a chance to just talk a little bit about, where people can find you, what projects you're working on, anything else like that.
You find me everywhere at Critical Bard, even TikTok. I'm not as active, but I'm there. I do a lot. I'm happy to be, booked and busy, but I'm always around doing something. I'll take the chance to say it. Literally in 2 days is the premiere of my Wildmount campaign on my channel. Yeah. Let's get Wildmount. It's going to be a lot of fun. As I hinted already, I have an affinity of playing undead because I'm playing a Halloween monk named Norvad. You're gonna find out a lot about him when he literally holds life and death in his hands. And I'm very excited to explore him and learn what he's about with this group. And who knows what could happen in the future. But yeah, that's that. Anything else I want to know? That's really it. You just find me on the socials. You'll see me doing a lot. I guess that's the best way you can figure out what I'm doing when I'm doing it.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, all right.
They'll be here next week doing an hour and a half makeup beforehand.
There we go.
Joel, you need to take at least 20 minutes on that wig.
I'm gonna do it.
At least to perm the wig, at least 20 minutes.
Make sure you keep the curling iron on low. You don't want to melt the plastic strands.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those polyester hair strands.
Speaking of which, I still need a Frank Zappa wig for Grigori.
Yeah, that's right. We should order 2, Joel. Just order 2 and we'll and we'll share the wig wealth.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks again for coming. Have a great weekend. And guess what? It's almost Monday.